The space station floated above a dead moon, its silver rings shining faintly against the black void. It was not a grand station like those at the heart of the galaxy, but it was busy. Ships from many species came here to trade, repair, or meet, under fragile agreements. Some called it a border post. Others whispered it was a waiting room for war. Inside, humans lived and worked quietly. They were still new to galactic society, still mocked by many. Most aliens saw them as primitives, too emotional, too fragile, too unpredictable. But humanity had found its place slowly, offering skills others overlooked. Alex Mason, a young human engineer, walked the long hallways every day. He worked at the shipyard, fixing broken engines and damaged hulls. Aliens often sneered at him, but when their ships broke down, they came to him. Humans had a strange talent for repairing things that seemed beyond repair. That night, Alex returned to his small cabin after a long shift. His hands were stained with grease, his uniform smelled of burned metal. He dropped onto the thin mattress, sighed, and closed his eyes. The hum of the station's engines was a sound he was used to, but then he heard something else. A faint hiss, the sound of his door sliding open. Alex opened his eyes. His room was dark, but a shadow slipped inside. He sat up quickly, heart pounding. The shadow moved with grace, almost floating. Before he could reach for the light panel, a soft voice whispered, "Do not make noise." Alex froze. The figure stepped closer. As his eyes adjusted, he saw her. Tall, slender, with skin like pale silver under the dim light. Her eyes glowed faintly blue and her hair shimmered like threads of crystal. She wore a robe of flowing fabric, marked with symbols he recognized, royal markings of the Karanar Dominion, one of the most powerful empires in the sector. Alex's breath caught. He knew who she was. Karel, daughter of the High Sovereign, a princess. "What are you doing here?" he whispered, stunned. Instead of answering, she moved closer and without hesitation slipped under his blanket beside him. Alex's body stiffened. This had to be a dream. No royal would risk being seen with a human like him. Her voice came soft and close to his ear. "Humans belong with us." Alex could hardly believe it. "What?" She looked at him with those glowing eyes. "For many cycles, my people laughed at yours. We said humans were wild creatures, a mistake of evolution. But I have watched you. I have listened. And now I know. The galaxy is wrong about you." Alex shook his head. "If anyone sees you here, they will not," she whispered. "I came alone." The blanket felt warm, but the air was cold with tension. Alex didn't know if he should call security or keep silent. But something in her tone stopped him. It wasn't command. It wasn't arrogance. It was almost desperation. "Why are you here?" Alex asked carefully. She lowered her gaze. "Because my people fear yours. They plan to act against Earth. They speak of casting humanity out of the Council, of isolating you before you grow stronger. But I do not want that. I believe you belong among the stars." Her words struck him harder than any insult he had heard on this station. For years, humans fought to prove they were not. Weak, not backward. And here, under the thin blanket of his small cabin, a princess admitted the truth. Fear, not pity, drove alien judgment. "You risk everything by telling me this," Alex said slowly. Karel nodded. "I know. My father would call it betrayal. But I see something the others do not." For a long moment, silence filled the room. The hum of the engines felt louder than before. Alex's mind raced. He had heard rumors that the Dominion planned something against humanity, but never had proof. Now, in the most unexpected way, the proof came to him. He looked at her again. She seemed fragile, but her eyes held steel. "Why me?" he asked finally. "Why tell me?" She gave a small smile, one that seemed strange on her usually regal face. "Because you fixed my ship." Alex blinked. "What?" "Last month," she explained. "A royal transport came into the yard. Its reactor was unstable. Your people. Said it could not be repaired in time, but you stayed through the night. You built new parts from scraps. You saved my life, though you never knew it was mine. Alex remembered. A broken transport with strange markings, guarded heavily. He had never asked who owned it. He had just worked until his hands bled, because that was what he did. Carell's voice softened. That is why I trust you. Because when others laugh at humans, I remember how you worked with no reward. That is why I whisper now. Humans belong with us. Alex felt a strange weight in his chest. For years he had endured sneers and insults. For years humans were told they were outsiders. Now the daughter of one of the galaxy's rulers lay beside him, telling him the opposite. He almost wanted to believe it was a dream, but dreams did not bring this much danger. You should go, Alex said finally, though his voice was unsteady. If they find you here, she shook her head. I will go when I must, but hear me first. Dark times are coming. The council meets soon. Humanity will be cast out if nothing changes. I cannot stop it alone. But maybe, together we can. Alex's throat felt dry. He was no soldier, no politician. He was just an engineer with tired hands. Yet in her eyes he saw expectation, hope. He gave a slow nod. I'll listen. Carell smiled faintly. It was the first true smile he had seen from an alien in months. She pulled the blanket closer, as if shielding them from the galaxy outside. For a moment, the war, the fear, the mockery, it all seemed far away. But Alex knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy thought humans were weak. The galaxy thought they could be laughed at forever. But tonight, under a thin blanket in a small human cabin, an alien princess whispered a truth that could change everything. The next morning, Alex woke with a dull ache in his shoulders. His mind replayed the night's events over and over. Carol's words, her sudden appearance, and the danger they had invited. Everything was overwhelming. He rubbed his eyes and stared at the blank wall of his cabin, trying to convince himself it had been a dream. But the memory of her glowing eyes refused to fade. Alex knew the galaxy was not kind to humans. Other species saw them as weak, as primitive, as dangerous in ways they could not control. And yet, Carell had risked everything to speak to him, to trust him. He stood, washed quickly, and dressed in his uniform. The station was busy as usual. Aliens of many shapes and sizes walked the corridors, arguing in their strange languages, trading parts, or moving supplies. Some glanced at Alex, with mild curiosity. Others sneered, muttering about human incompetence. He ignored them. His first stop was the shipyard, where he had spent countless cycles repairing engines and hulls. Today it was a calm morning, unusual for the station. A small transport floated nearby, damaged but repairable. Alex started inspecting it, but his mind wandered. He remembered Carell's words. The council plans to cast humanity out. They think you are weak, but I know the truth. He shook his head. How can one alien princess change anything? He whispered to himself. Yet as he worked, he noticed something strange. Small pieces of debris, unusual wiring, and symbols that weren't standard. Someone had tampered with the transport, not maliciously, but carefully. Someone had wanted to test his skills. Alex frowned. He checked the logs, but nothing unusual appeared. Whoever it was had covered their tracks well. That evening, as the station's artificial sun dimmed and lights flickered on, Alex returned to his cabin, exhausted. He had no idea what he would find. And then, as if on cue, a shadow moved in his room. Carell, he whispered, half relieved, half worried. She stepped out from the corner. Her movements were quiet, deliberate. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, reflecting concern and urgency. You should not be here, Alex said, trying to sound firm, but his voice trembled. I had to see you, she said softly. I cannot wait for the council's vote. I cannot do this alone. Alex sat on the edge of his bed, rubbing his face. Carell, if anyone finds you, you could be exiled. Or worse. She sighed. a sound that was almost human. I know. And I am willing to take that risk. I believe humans deserve their place among the stars. I cannot remain silent while others plot against you. Alex felt a surge of respect and fear. He had worked on ships, fought minor conflicts, and survived tough days, but nothing had prepared him for this. Here was an alien princess, risking everything for a human for him. Why me? He asked again. Because you saved me, Carol said. And because I see something others refuse to see. Humans are not weak. You adapt, you survive, you fight. You are extraordinary. Alex felt a strange warmth in his chest, but it was mixed with anxiety. I am just one man, one engineer. What can I do? Carell smiled faintly. More than you know, and you will not be alone. They talked for hours. Alex learned that Carell had grown up in a strict household. Her people valued strength, obedience, and tradition. She had always followed the rules, but she had questions, curiosity, and a fascination with humans. The more she watched Alex and his kind, the more she realized the galaxy underestimated them. You understand, she said, that if my family knew I was speaking to you like this, I would be forbidden from ever leaving the palace again. I understand, Alex said. And yet, you risk everything. She nodded. I have seen humans work, build, and survive under impossible conditions. I have seen courage, loyalty, and intelligence. My people see only fear or mockery. I see potential. Alex looked at her, thinking of the stories he had heard about alien hierarchies. Power was everything. Tibet. The station hummed with a quiet tension. In the council chambers, debates raged far from the eyes of humans. Representatives from dozens of species argued with sharp words and sharper tempers. Humans were discussed as if they were insects, weak, inconsequential, and dangerous only because they were unpredictable. Alex Mason knew nothing of this. He had returned to his work at the shipyard, but Carell's words echoed in his mind. The council plans to cast humanity out, but I believe you belong among the stars. He tightened his gloves around his hands as he inspected the damaged transport. His mind was not on the metal and wiring. It was on strategy, on survival, on the future of his species. That evening, Carell appeared again, moving with the same quiet grace that had startled him before. She carried no weapons, only a small data pad. Alex, she whispered, they are meeting soon. The council vote will decide our future. Alex swallowed hard. How soon? Within 2 cycles, Carell said. And it will not be a fair vote. Some will vote against humans simply out of fear. Others will vote out of pride. We must prepare. Alex felt a weight settle on his shoulders. He was an engineer, not a diplomat, not a soldier. But the fate of humanity was now somehow in his hands. What can I do? He asked quietly. Carell handed him the data pad. This contains information about key council members, who fears humans, who secretly admires them, and who can be persuaded. You must understand this. Every word, every vote, can make a difference. Alex studied the data, scrolling through names and alien symbols. He realized how complex the council was, alliances, rivalries, secrets. It was more confusing than repairing an engine that had been shattered in a meteor storm. But this was real. Lives were at stake. Carell, how do we even begin? He asked. We observe. We listen. And we find allies, she replied. Some council members admire your species secretly. Others fear you. We must use that. We must act carefully. Alex nodded. And if someone discovers us? Then we disappear, Carell said firmly. We cannot fail. Humanity cannot fail. The next few days passed in secrecy. Alex and Carell met in hidden corners of the station, whispering plans, exchanging information, and building a quiet understanding. They discovered small cracks in the council's unity. Some members were frustrated with their own leaders, others curious about humans, and some even resentful of the Dominion's arrogance. Alex began to see the truth Carell had spoken before. Humans were underestimated. Not weak, not insignificant but strong in ways the Council could not predict. One night, while they pored over the datapad, a message blinked from Carell's console. It was urgent. "Alex," she whispered. "Someone is watching us." Alex's heart raced. They had been careful, meeting in private quarters, avoiding cameras, and using secure communication. But someone had noticed. "Who?" Alex asked. "I don't know," Carol said. "But they know about us, about our meetings. We must be more careful." The danger made their connection even more urgent. They were no longer just discussing strategy. They were relying on each other for safety. Trust had become a lifeline. The following day, an alien informant approached Alex in the shipyard. He was tall, covered in gray scales, with eyes like molten metal. "You should be careful," the alien said in a low, rough voice. "Rumors spread fast. Some say a human and a Karanar princess have been seen together." Alex forced a casual shrug. "I don't know what you mean." The alien leaned closer. "I am warning you. Secrets are fragile here, and some secrets can get you killed." Alex's heart pounded. He returned to his cabin, finding Carell already waiting. "They know," he whispered. Carell nodded, her face pale but resolute. "Then we must act faster. The vote is coming. If we do nothing, humanity will be cast out." They began to plan more aggressively. Using the data Carell had gathered, they identified potential allies among the Council. They discovered one member, a trader from the Vishari species, who secretly admired humans for their resourcefulness. Another, a diplomat from the Trilari, feared humans' adaptability and could be persuaded to vote cautiously. Alex realized that influencing the Council would require more than truth. It would require careful negotiation, timing, and courage. One night while the station slept, Carell whispered another confession. "Alex, I have not told you everything." "What?" he asked. "My people fear humans not only for strength but for unpredictability," she said. "They fear that if humans rise, they will challenge authority, break traditions, and disrupt the galaxy. That is why they plot against you. That is why they must not know we are working together." Alex swallowed hard. "And we will be discovered if we make a mistake." "Yes," Carell said, "but mistakes are part of life. And humans. You are not afraid of mistakes. You adapt, you survive, you fight. That is why I believe in you." Her words strengthened him. Alex realized that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology, not their ships, not even their weapons. It was their spirit, their courage in the face of impossible odds. The station was a quiet place, but the tension was growing. Shadowy figures lurked, spies whispered in hidden corridors, and the Council's vote approached like a storm. Alex and Carell moved carefully. They shared secret messages, coded signals, and discreet meetings. Every moment was dangerous. Every choice could bring disaster. And yet they continued, because the future of humanity depended on it, because someone from the stars, an alien princess, believed in them, and that belief was enough to spark a rebellion. The station remained unaware of the quiet storm building within its walls. The galaxy assumed humans were weak, insignificant, and predictable. They were about to be very wrong. The station's quiet corridors felt different that morning. Shadows seemed darker. Every metallic clang echoed like a warning. Alex Mason sensed danger before it arrived, a sharp tension in the air he could not ignore. Carell had called him to a secluded observation deck. The view was breathtaking. Stars stretched across the void, alien planets glinting in distant light, yet neither of them noticed the beauty. Their attention was fixed on the Council's impending vote. "We have allies," Carell whispered. "But someone is watching, I can feel it." Alex nodded. "I've noticed rumors are spreading fast. Someone may have seen us together." Carell's eyes darkened. "It is worse than that. One of our allies may have betrayed us." Alex's stomach sank. He had trusted the data she provided, the alliances she had identified. To think someone close to them could betray them felt like a dagger to the heart. "Who?" he asked cautiously. Carell shook her head. I do not know yet, but we must move quickly. If the council discovers our plan, they will act immediately. They cannot allow a human to influence the vote. For hours, they worked in silence, scanning communications, monitoring council member movements, and checking security logs. But no one admitted betrayal. No one confessed. The uncertainty gnawed at them both. As night fell on the station, Alex and Carell returned to his cabin. The small space felt safer, a fragile island amid political storms. But safety was an illusion. Before Alex could speak, the door slid open violently. Guards poured in, a dozen strong figures from the Karanar Dominion. Carell's eyes widened in shock. How? Alex's mind raced. They've found us. The lead guard, a towering figure clad in silver armor, stepped forward. Carell, he said coldly, you are under arrest for unauthorized contact with a human. And you, he said, turning to Alex, will be detained for influencing royal matters beyond your rank. Alex froze. Betrayal had arrived, but he could not see who had caused it. Carell's face paled. Her hand reached for him instinctively, but guards restrained her. This is a mistake, Alex shouted, struggling against the nearest guard. Carell's voice was firm. Do not fight them, Alex. We must survive to fight another day. They were separated quickly. Alex was dragged through cold corridors, past silent stations and alien onlookers who avoided staring. Carell was taken in the opposite direction, her head high but her eyes burning with worry. Hours later, Alex found himself in a cell. It was small, metal, and cold. The walls hummed faintly, but the sound did not comfort him. He sat on the thin cot, thinking about Carell, about the council, about betrayal. Then a voice echoed from the shadows. You are brave, human, a figure said. Alex squinted. The visitor was not in uniform, a Vishari trader, one of the allies Carell had mentioned. But bravery can be dangerous here. Your princess, she's not safe. Alex's stomach tightened. Where is she? She has been returned to her family, the trader said. Her father is furious. He calls her reckless, disgraceful, and weak. She is punished for trusting you. Alex's heart sank. He had feared this. The council had many spies, many loyalists, and one of them had exposed their plan. The betrayal was real, and Carell suffered because of it. What now? Alex whispered. The trader's eyes glimmered. Now you survive, you wait, you watch. The council is divided. Even now some fear your people, some admire them secretly, and that is where your chance lies. Alex clenched his fists. He had spent cycles repairing starships. He had endured insults and mockery. But now the stakes were higher than he had ever imagined. Humanity's fate rested on him and those who believed in them. Meanwhile, Carell's own imprisonment was no comfort. She was held in a chamber high within the Karanar palace, surrounded by guards who treated her as a traitor. Her father, the High Sovereign, visited her briefly, his expression cold and hard. You risk everything for a Humi. The station trembled under the sudden roar of engines. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and alien crews scrambled to battle stations. The council had expected calm control after imprisoning Alex Mason and Carell, but the humans had arrived, and they brought more than words. From orbit, massive human warships appeared, their hulls gleaming under distant starlight. Unlike the small, routine vessels seen before, these ships radiated power and precision. They moved in perfect formation, a disciplined dance of engineering and strategy. The council had always assumed humans were weak, disorganized, and easily subdued. They had been wrong. In his cold metal cell, Alex could hear the distant rumble of explosions and engine thrusts. Through the tiny viewport, he glimpsed streaks of light, human fighters weaving around alien cruisers, striking with deadly efficiency. Impossible, muttered one of the Vishari guards outside his door. How could they? Alex leaned against the wall, heart pounding, and thought of Carell. She was still in the palace, held by her father's guards. But now humanity had shown that they could fight, and that fight had begun. Karel, in her own cell high within the Karanar palace, heard the vibrations before she felt relief. Humans had arrived. The sound of distant combat reached even the thick walls surrounding her. Her heart raced. "They've come," she whispered to herself. "They came for us." In the chaos, Karel's resolve hardened. She could not simply wait. The Council's spies were everywhere, but the human fleet's sudden assault had created openings. Guards ran to respond to alarms, leaving some areas lightly defended. Alex's cell door clanged open suddenly. He tensed, expecting the worst. Instead, the same Vishari trader who had warned him before stepped in, carrying tools and devices. "Time is short," the trader whispered. "I can help you escape, but you must trust me." Alex hesitated, then nodded. "I have no choice." Using the trader's devices, they bypassed security locks and quietly slipped through empty corridors. Explosions shook the station, and distant sounds of laser fire echoed. This was no longer a quiet rebellion. It was war. Meanwhile, Karel observed the chaos outside her window. She saw human ships weaving between council cruisers, striking with surgical precision. Her heart swelled with hope. Humanity had always been underestimated. Now they were proving their strength to the galaxy. Alex and the trader moved quickly, using maintenance tunnels and side passages. Every step was dangerous, but their determination pushed them forward. When they finally reached Karel's holding area, alarms began to sound. Guards were returning to investigate the sudden disturbance. Karel didn't wait. Using the tools the trader provided, Alex quickly disabled the cell locks. Karel stepped out, her eyes glowing with determination. "Let's move," she said. The three of them navigated the corridors carefully, avoiding patrols and using the chaos of the battle above to their advantage. Alex felt a surge of adrenaline. He had repaired ships, faced technical crises, and endured ridicule, but nothing compared to this. Now he was part of something larger, a battle that could decide humanity's place in the galaxy. As they reached the docking bay, human soldiers had already engaged the Council's forces. Fighters swooped in, landing teams deployed, and human tactics moved with precision. Even heavily armed Karanar soldiers struggled to hold their ground against the organized human units. Alex and Karel joined a human squad. For the first time, she saw the true strength of humans, not just their technology, but their courage, their creativity, and their resilience. Humans adapted to every attack, covered each other's weaknesses, and pressed forward with determination. "Alex," Karel shouted over the noise, "we need to get to the command deck. If we can reach it, we can turn the Council's ships against each other." He nodded. Together, they ran through the chaos, dodging laser fire and ducking behind machinery. Explosions rocked the station, sending shrapnel and sparks into the corridors. At the command deck, human engineers quickly interfaced with alien systems. Using their knowledge of technology and strategy, they hacked into Council communications, disrupted targeting systems, and caused confusion among the alien fleets. The tide of battle began to turn. From her side, Karel used her influence and knowledge of the Council's protocols to guide human forces. She redirected alien units, creating openings and weak points for the humans to exploit. Together, Alex and Karel orchestrated a strike that stunned even the most seasoned Council leaders. The Council had assumed humans were insignificant, unorganized, and predictable. Now human precision, bravery, and adaptability were overwhelming them. Ships that were once thought invincible faltered under tactical strikes. Commanders struggled to regain control. Amid the chaos, Alex found himself on a bridge with Karel, facing the Council's top enforcers. The High Sovereign's eyes glowed with fury. "You dare interfere, human?" he shouted. Alex met his gaze. "We were underestimated," he said calmly. "You thought we were weak. You thought we could be controlled. You were wrong." Karel stepped beside him, her voice firm. "Humans belong among us, and we will not be dismissed or defeated by fear." The Council's fleet wavered. Internal divisions surfaced. Some ships, unsure of orders, hesitated. Some alien commanders, secretly admiring humans, allowed breaches in their own lines. The human fleet exploited every weakness, striking with coordinated precision that left the Council reeling. In the chaos, Carell moved through the command deck, assisting human engineers, redirecting systems and ensuring that every move counted. Her loyalty was clear. No longer a secret. She had openly declared herself on humanity's side. Alex felt a surge of pride. He had once been a simple engineer, underestimated and overlooked. Now he was part of a force that had changed the course of a battle. Humanity was no longer a background player in the galaxy's politics. They were a decisive factor. Hours later, as the dust settled and alarms quieted, the Council was forced to retreat. Ships limped back to safe zones and human forces secured the station. The High Sovereign's plans had failed. His daughter, once imprisoned for defying protocol, now stood beside Alex, her loyalty to humanity evident. "You were incredible," Carell said softly. Her eyes met his and he saw gratitude, respect, and something deeper. Alex shook his head, exhausted but determined. "We did what we had to do. Humanity had to show them who we are." Carell smiled. "Yes, and now?" "The galaxy knows." Outside the station, the stars seemed brighter. The silence of space was no longer just a backdrop. It was a stage where humanity had demonstrated its strength, resilience, and ingenuity. For Alex, Carell, and the humans who had fought alongside them, the battle was more than victory. It was proof. Proof that humans could stand among the stars, that they could face overwhelming odds and triumph, and that the galaxy would never underestimate them again. As the station settled into a new order, Alex and Carell stood together on the observation deck. The hum of machinery was no longer frightening. It was a reminder of their triumph, of the courage that had carried them through. "Humans belong among us," Carell whispered again, her voice firm and unwavering. "And now the galaxy must accept it." Alex nodded. For the first time, he truly believed it. Humanity had endured, had fought, and had won respect where there had been doubt. The spark of rebellion had become a flame, one that could not be ignored. And as the stars stretched infinitely beyond the station, Alex knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had seen humanity's strength, and it would never forget it. The station was quiet now, a stark contrast to the chaos of the previous days. Aliens and humans moved through the corridors cautiously, repairing damage and reassessing their alliances. The Council, once confident in their control, had been humbled. Alex Mason stood on the observation deck staring at the stars. The human fleet had departed to resupply and regroup, leaving the station under a tentative truce. The victory had been hard won, but humanity had proven its worth. Carell joined him quietly. Her glowing eyes reflected the distant suns and her expression was calm but thoughtful. "The Council has been forced to reconsider," she said softly. Alex turned to her. They accept humans now?" "Not all," Carell admitted. "Some still fear us, some still doubt, but they cannot deny what they saw. Humans fought with strategy, intelligence, and courage. That is something no species can ignore." Alex smiled faintly. It was strange to feel such pride in himself and his species. For years, humans had been underestimated, laughed at, dismissed. Now they had not only survived, they had earned respect. Carell looked at him with a mixture of admiration and something deeper. "I risked everything for you, for humanity. And now, the galaxy knows you are not weak. You are strong. You belong here." Alex felt his chest tighten. He had never thought of himself as extraordinary. Just an engineer, a fixer of broken ships. But Carell had seen something in him, and in all humans, that others had ignored. The High Sovereign had not spoken to his daughter since the battle. Some council members had tried to punish Carell for her actions, but she had stood firm, refusing to denounce humans. Her loyalty had shifted the balance. Humans had allies now within the council, hidden but influential, who admired the courage and ingenuity Alex and his people had shown. Alex and Carell spent the day reviewing reports, monitoring council decisions, and coordinating with humans still on the station. Slowly, they began to see the result.